Our whole mission here is, well, taking that stack of sources you give us and turning it into knowledge you can actually use. Knowledge that doesn't just vanish.
And that's precisely the problem, isn't it? The one we're digging into today. If you're a professional, chances are you've sat through some kind of required training, maybe an upskilling seminar,
Oh, yeah, definitely.
only to find out maybe 2 months later that those complex ideas you thought you had down, they're just not there when you need them in the real world. Under pressure, they disappear.
It feels like such a waste of time. And our sources, they actually call this the catastrophic failure of the traditional method. Basically, standard education often gives you what they term fragile, inert knowledge.
Fragile and inert. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, it sticks around just long enough maybe to pass a quiz, a simple multiple choice thing, but then poof, gone. It technically exists in your head, but you can't actually use it effectively.
So today we're diving into a platform's value proposition that's aimed squarely at businesses trying to fix this exact failure. Their claim is pretty bold, really. They say they provide durable, applicable skills.
Durable and applicable.
Skills that connect directly to performance, drive innovation, and, this is key for businesses, deliver a tangible return on investment. Real ROI.
Okay, that sounds promising. So let's get into the core business need then. Why is upskilling suddenly this necessity, not just a nice to have anymore?
Well, the sources are pretty clear on this. Competition, technology. Everything's changing so fast, faster than old school training methods can possibly keep up with.
Right.
In today's world, you really can't afford to just have average performers sitting around. So the goal of this platform, as they state it, is to turn those average employees into high-performing, really adaptable leaders.
And the typical seminar, the one-off workshop, that's basically the opposite of that goal, isn't it? It's just about like dumping information, maybe a quick check for recall, and here's your certificate.
Exactly. And that knowledge is just perishable. It's
Right.
often too general, maybe too theoretical, and honestly, sometimes it feels too easy to just passively absorb.
Yeah.
If that knowledge is forgotten quickly, then the investment, the time, the money spent, it delivers zero ROI. It's just gone.
Mm.
Businesses need skills that stick, especially under pressure.
So that idea, that tangible return on investment, that's really the bottom line here for the business audience. The platform is basically claiming its deep learning method.
Yeah.
Make sure skills aren't just memorized, but they're structurally solid, usable across different situations.
Yes, and that's what actually boosts performance, innovation, the things businesses care about.
Okay, so let's look at what they actually offer then. The scope. You mentioned they're serious about breadth and depth.
Oh, definitely. The breadth is, well, it's pretty staggering. They talk about a library of over 150 comprehensive business subjects.
Wow, 150 comprehensive ones.
Yeah, covering the usual suspects: leadership, strategy, sales, digital marketing. But it's the specific topics they list that really show their ambition.
Like what?
Well, it's not just, sales 101. They mention really specific, high-value, complex areas, things like decoding venture capitalists or true office politics mastery.
Huh. Okay, those are definitely not your standard seminar topics.
Not at all. These require tactical understanding, real application, not just reading a few articles.
And they mentioned something about a sales closing techniques encyclopedia. That sounds intense.
Yeah, 15,000 plus sales closing techniques. That detail, it really speaks volumes about their commitment to getting down to the application level, moving way beyond just principles into actual professional competence.
Okay, that's a lot of content.
And it's not just their content either. For companies, they offer something quite interesting: the ability to take the company's own internal stuff strategy docs, sales guides, that proprietary knowledge, and convert it into these powerful learning modules within their system.
Now that sounds like a huge plus. So the skills people build are instantly relevant to their own company's situation, its challenges, its products.
Precisely. You're not just learning some generic sales tactic. You're learning how to use it with your company's actual materials and context.
Got it. So that covers the content library. But what about the learning experience itself? You mentioned something about the human element.
Right. They recognize that just having content isn't enough for mastery. You need motivation, you need guidance you can trust. And this is where they bring in this idea of authoritative presence.
Authoritative presence. What does that mean in practice? AI related?
Exactly. It's where the AI takes on a specific personality. The system uses the consistent voice and persona of, well, world-class experts. They specifically mention Christian Dillstrom, the global business influencer.
Interesting.
The sources claim this creates a really powerful sense of being personally mentored, even though it's AI-driven.
So it makes the digital learning feel less flat,
Right.
less anonymous.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
When you feel like you're getting feedback from someone you perceive as an authority, someone you trust, you're likely much more open to hearing it and acting on it. It's about delivering that high-quality, high-stakes feeling of guidance, but doing it at scale.
That makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
So we've got with this massive library, tailored content, AI mentorship. Now, let's unpack the how. This architecture of mastery that they claim makes knowledge durable, not fragile.
Right, the architecture of mastery. That's really the engine driving the whole thing. It's built by fusing together three core pillars. Seemingly different, but they argue they are extremely robust when combined.
Okay, pillar number one.
Pillar one is Nobel Prize-winning science. They specifically cite Herbert A. Simon's work on deliberate practice and chunking. And they say this is backed up by over 30 other major studies in cognitive science.
Okay, let's pause on that science bit. Chunking.
Mm.
What does that actually mean for, say, a business professional? It's not just memorizing lists, right?
No, not at all. Chunking is how experts organize huge amounts of information mentally. They see patterns, connections, chunks that let them access and use complex knowledge almost instantly. Think of like a top surgeon seeing a situation and immediately knowing the right pattern of action.
Ah, okay. So the system is designed to force your brain to build those expert patterns.
Exactly. It's about building that mental structure. Which leads nicely into pillar two, Finnish pedagogy. This is embodied by their co-founder, Marjo Dillström.
Finland. They always score highly in education rankings, don't they?
Consistently. Their approach really emphasizes understanding the why behind things, conceptual depth, not just skimming the surface.
Yeah.
And they focus on structural encoding, making sure knowledge gets filed correctly in your brain, basically, so you can retrieve it effectively.
Makes sense. And the third pillar.
Pillar three holds it all together. The adaptive AI. This provides the tech power for total personalization. It constantly adjusts the difficulty, the pace, everything to keep the learner in that sweet spot of productive struggle, what they call high-friction learning.
So the whole system works like a cognitive gym. Is that the idea?
That's the term they use. It employs methods designed to make you work, to struggle productively, because that struggle is apparently what's necessary to forge those durable, truly applicable skills.
Okay, and how does that translate into the actual learning tasks? Is it just harder quizzes?
No, it's based on a deeper idea, actually rooted in philosophy, meaning as use, from Wittgenstein. The sources argue that inert knowledge often comes from defining something without being able to use it.
Right.
True understanding, they say, is shown only by your ability to actually execute that skill successfully in a relevant, complex situation, what Wittgenstein called a language game.
That's a powerful way to think about professional skills.
Yep.
You don't really get negotiation until you can actually navigate a tricky, simulated negotiation successfully.
Spot on. And that's why the platform apparently ditches standard multiple choice tests. They just measure shallow recall. Instead, to truly master just one concept, a user might have to tackle up to 100 science-based tasks.
100 tasks for one concept.
Right.
That's not a quiz. That's like cognitive engineering.
Pretty much. If the concept is, say, decoding venture capitalists, the tasks aren't going to be simple recall. They'd have to be things that force you to create, to judge, to explain your reasoning, to apply the knowledge in simulated real-world scenarios.
Okay, but that level of intensity, 100 challenging tasks, it immediately brings up a worry for professionals, right? What if I mess up? What if I fail? In a corporate setting, failure isn't always. Well, welcome.
Absolutely, critical point. Failure is actually essential for deep learning, but you're right, the professional world often penalizes it.
So how do they handle that?
This leads to what might be the most crucial element, especially for complex skills like strategy or leadership, psychological safety. The system guarantees total privacy.
Right.
You're essentially in a professional sandbox.
A sandbox. Okay, I like that.
Exactly. When you're learning skills in these ill-structured domains, strategy, leadership, negotiation, there often isn't one single right answer. You have to experiment, you have to take risks, and sometimes you have to fail to learn.
Right.
The platform ensures that any mistake you make is treated purely as private, valuable diagnostic data for you. There's zero social or professional penalty attached.
Which, presumably, encourages the kind of intellectual risk-taking you need to get really good at those high-level skills. If you know you won't be judged for trying something ambitious and failing, you're more likely to try it.
And that's how you move beyond just competence into genuine mastery.
You mentioned it develops advanced cognitive skills too.
Yes, by forcing things like perspective thinking, thinking ahead. A key example they cite is the pre-mortem challenge.
The pre-mortem challenge, explain that one.
It's actually quite clever. Instead of a post-mortem after something goes wrong,
Right, the usual look back.
the system makes you imagine the project has already failed spectacularly. Then you have to work backward to figure out why it failed.
Ah, so you anticipate the potential pitfalls before you even start.
Precisely. It forces that strategic foresight, proactive risk identification. It basically embeds resilience into your thinking before things kick off. That's some serious high-level strategic training right there.
Okay, so we've covered the content, the mentorship, the science-backed methods, the safety. It's quite a system. But stepping back, what's the ultimate long-term payoff they're promising here?
The ultimate benefit, the big promise, is accelerated mastery. It's positioned as the ultimate meta skill. You're not just learning content, you're getting a permanent structural upgrade to your whole cognitive system.
So it's not just about getting good at sales or finance or whatever the subject is. It's about getting good at getting good, mastering how to master things.
That's exactly it. Every subject you learn through this platform using this rigorous cognitive gym approach. Well, those effective learning processes, like retrieval practice, explaining things to yourself, using analogies, they stop being conscious effort.
They become automatic.
Through all that repetition and intense engagement, yes, they become proceduralized, automatic, like riding a bike or tying your shoes. You don't think about how to do it anymore, you just do it.
And that shift, making the learning process itself automatic, that's the key to speeding things up.
That's the claim. The sources state very clearly this leads to a compounding cognitive advantage. You basically skip the friction of figuring out how to learn effectively each time.
Which means?
Which means the next complex subject you decide to tackle, you'll master it faster and more deeply than the previous one. Nearly all your mental energy goes directly into the new content, not into wrestling with the learning process itself.
Wow. A structural change that accelerates your expertise gain across potentially any field you choose. That's a fascinating proposition for professional development, moving beyond just fixing skill gaps.
Absolutely. We hope this deep dive has offered a clearer picture of, well, why traditional training sometimes falls short, and what a truly effective, durable learning system for complex business skills might actually look like.